Welcome to Winging It. This is a special in-between video to look at the deck upgrades that I'm doing between Scenario 1 and Scenario 2 of the Circle Undone with Taboo, Preston, and Diana. This is the Diana deck as I started the campaign with, and we have a cool 8 XP to spend. Noting that we did take a trauma, so Diana's going to be starting at 3 horror, but that's immaterial. We have some soaks here, and of course Preston has his thermos, which he never got out, but presumably he'll draw it at some point and help us out. Anyway, I have this is a look at the deck. I have the assets on top, the events and cancels in the middle, and some skills at the end, along with her weakness. So to talk about upgrades, the first upgrades that I like to take with Diana is I'm not a huge fan of the Enchanted Blade in her. I run it at base level because I want a +2 combat weapon. With her 3 combat, it just does help to have a +2 combat weapon. But I believe I don't like the fact that it takes up one of her arcane slots, which makes a problem to run it along with Shriveling or Sixth Sense, or having those items. I would prefer to be able to have a weapon and Shriveling out at the same time. The idea being that the weapon is kind of used early in the scenario, and when she gets her willpower super high, then you have kind of a more reliable weapon in the Shriveling to use. So to that end, I really do like a pair of upgraded 45 automatics. I'm a big fan of this card anyway. The fact that it gives you a nice way to attack without worrying about retaliate is good. Diana can cancel with it, which is nice, and so it can be a cancel card. Of course, that's one of those less reliable cancels, as you have to be hitting something that has retaliate on it, and you have to be willing to forgo the rest of the ammo on the weapon. But it can be useful. So to do this, I'm going to get rid of one of the Enchanted Blades for this upgrade because I want to keep. Just so we have, between the Shriveling, I have 2 Shrivelings, I'm going to have 2 45 automatics. I'd like to have one other weapon. I may end up upgrading this Enchanted Blade later on to the either a Time Worn brand or more likely the Mystic version of the Enchanted Blade. So that's kind of my plan there. I have to take out another card. Since I'm keeping one of the Enchanted Blades, and it will be a Lissogram. Now that we have, I'm trying to specialize towards this portion of the campaign to be more combat, and so I really am going to be leaning hard into Beat Cop. So I'm taking out the 2 Lissograms. One will be for the 45 automatic. The other will be for marksmanship, which probably is not a hugely popular card, but I do like it. And if you watched my campaign with Leo and Ursula, you saw that I used it. I think it's just I often find a time to use marksmanship, and it can be a cancel for Diana as well. So just some kind of a toolboxy cancel that she can use. But I also just find it useful to be able to, if I've got the 45 out and I need to hit somebody without, moving to that location, or, if it's aloof, or, whatever, I think the marksmanship is just a good card. And, at the end of the day, it's a combat, it's a combat icon if I need it. Okay, so I did say I was leaning into Beat Cop, especially for this campaign. I really want level 2 Beat Cops before I get to the secret name. And the reason is just, with aloof enemies, with odd health enemies, having a Beat Cop that you can ping damage with, it just really helps you save actions, helps you save ammo. So, in terms of action compression, I'm going to upgrade one of my Beat Cops to a level 2 Beat Cop. So now I'll have one level 1 and level 2, and then my first upgrade after this next scenario, assuming I get 2 XP, will be another Beat Cop. Okay, so the final upgrade, I have 1 XP left after that, and I do have the 2 Arcane Researches, and so I am going to get a level 3 Shriveling. This is a high priority for me. Again, she is the combat she is the combat focus, enemy management focus between this duo, and a level 3 shriveling is really good for. I mean, it's very easy for her to get up to like 3 willpower. 2 cancels. You start with one in her hand. Maybe you find one other thing to cancel, and all of a sudden now, she's gonna be shooting at a 5 with shriveling, which is where she would be with her automatic, and then it only gets better from there as the scenario goes on. With 4 charges at 3 cost, that makes shriveling a really good value, and it's leaning into her mystic abilities, which is how I've grown to enjoy playing Diana. The downside, of course, and we saw this in the last scenario, is taking the horror, and that's when hopefully we have the soak with Beat Cop, we have the soaks with Holy Rosary, and of course Deny Existence and those kinds of things that will help us with that. Also, I do plan on, after I get my Beat Cops and kind of set up, I'm going to start investing in counter spells, which will also be helpful and synergize well with shriveling. So, anyway, those are the upgrades I'm making for Diana going into the second scenario of the Circle Undone. And here we have a Preston deck, again with 8 XP to spend. I actually had planned to get adaptable and change around a few things. But getting 8 XP has allowed me to do something a little bit different, and I may regret it, so we will see. But I think one of the first immediate upgrades that I wanted to get was to go ahead and grab Charisma, which everybody's familiar with, right? Charisma is just, I need to be able to have multiple allies out. And this, really goes to kind of the ultimate idea here that we want to be able to have Lola Santiago and Leo DeLuca both out. Lola is just great for helping him get clues. It's going to allow him to lean into kind of that role specialization. And so, the end game, and then of course, Leo's good. Right? We never got him out in the first scenario. But he's good because you can use that extra action to take resources off of family inheritance. And he can make a lot of use of those kind of extra actions. So, but this is where things diverge a little bit, is the other thing I wanted to get, and this was really important to me and core to this build, is to grab 2 copies of Plucky. And Plucky is, it's fast. You can put it down when you need to boost it. It's a stat booster for intellect, which is what he needs if he's going to be our main clue guy. And so the problem is, of course, if he takes a horror, it goes away. If he has to put the horror on this before he can put it on himself. Now, obviously, Peter Sylvester would be a good way to kind of defend against that, sort of. Although level 0 Peter can only take 1 horror before he has to go away. So it wouldn't help with something like a failed Rotting Remains. Additionally, what I planned to do was to grab a Cherished Keepsake and then a Scavenging, and then be able to recur those Cherished Keepsakes. And I would have done that with by grabbing 2 adaptables. But since I have 3 XP left over, I'm going to instead grab Lola Santiago, because I just think that's really strong. It gives us multiple ways of getting clues. So I'm going to trade out a Peter Sylvester for Lola Santiago. Okay. And then my Pluckies will go in instead of Hard Knocks. Now, the other thing about not having Hard Knocks is that I won't be able to boost his combat, which makes Gravedigger's Shovel less attractive. And I mean, I might be the only person who finds Gravedigger's Shovel attractive anyway. But I did some fair work with it. I was able to do some damage. So this does nerf him a little bit in terms of his ability to do damage. At the same point, having 2 stat boosters with Dig Deep that can pump up his willpower is going to be good for a very willpower intensive campaign. So my plan is to run Plucky and Dig Deep, for the near future. I would like to go ahead and adaptable in Cherished Keepsake, the Scavenging, but I just didn't have enough XP to do it, and I'm prioritizing right now just getting Lola Santiago, as getting her out can really give me some action compression, being able to just grab clues without taking an action, and with the flashlight, you can get cheap clues with her. Some nice, just some good synergy with the way that he works. So I decided to go ahead and pick up Lola Santiago. I will definitely be, if we can all get 3 XP, picking up a second copy of Lola Santiago. And then I'll start looking into getting the adaptables to get some protection for Plucky in. Now, one thing about Plucky is, because it's fast and it only costs 1 resource, I can just wait until I need it and then put it into play. It is entirely possible to play this if I get Lola Santiago out early, or well connected out early, to be able to play this without Plucky at all and still be able to get clues. I mean, you saw I was able to get clues in the first scenario. I think the idea is to make him, or at least for me, the idea is to make him have multiple ways for him to be able to get clues. Just like I want Diana to have multiple ways to be able to manage enemies, I want him to have multiple ways to get clues. Now, as the campaign goes on, I plan to replace Gravedigger's Shovel with a bow. I plan to upgrade the sneak attacks. If I would love to get those upgraded before the secret name, but I'm guessing that's not likely to happen because I really will try to get Lola and the adaptables. But right now, it's trying to shore up his weakness in getting clues so that he can be as strong as he can be doing that. Then once I get that addressed, then I'll start making him a little bit more self-sufficient on the combat end of things. So that is Diana and Preston. And hopefully these decks will perform well as I go on to the second scenario. Thanks for watching Winging It.